Morning, everybody. If you can, go ahead and utilize that hand-raising function, and we will work through each of your questions as best we can. So we'll let John Warner from the Waco Trib get us started.
Hey, Dave. Following up on the Tyrell news from the coaches' call, Abram Smith stepped in there against Iowa State. Would you expect him to replace him, or is it up for grabs?
No, I would expect Abram. He's been getting those reps in practice. I thought when he came in on Saturday, there were some positive things that he did, and he's awfully eager and wanting to improve and spend the time to do it, and so he would be the next in line.
I also wanted to ask you a little bit about your relationship with Coach Wells. Coached that year together at Utah State. What was that like? You obviously had a great year.
I have a lot of respect for Matt. Love his family, and so being there that year, Matt's very humble, very smart, family person. I think Matt was always one who's real observant, and but I think one of the best things I could say about Matt is he's very loyal. I felt someone that always have your back, and so now in our roles, Matt's someone that I talk to quite a bit. Just when we're getting hit with COVID, and quarantine and everything else, he would be someone that I would talk to and comparing ideas and thoughts and all of it. And so, a lot of respect for Matt.
Thank you, Dave.
Go to Bryce Cherry.
Yeah, Dave, you guys are up to 6 interceptions defensively on the year now, and obviously had some good ones the other day. Do you see the signs of kind of the ball hawking type defense that you want to be?
There are signs. I feel the zone coverage that we play plays a lot into it. This past Saturday we played a lot of man, and we're able to get some of those grabs in man coverage, which is really a positive thing to see. It's harder to do in man, and so I think when that happens, that really speaks to that ball hawking mentality you speak of, and so we want to be able to continue to build that style of defense. I think that starts in practice. When these last couple weeks of practice that we've had, there's been a fair amount of that going on. And I think, it adds energy to our sideline and to the practice. And most importantly, it bleeds into, our games. And so we want to continue to do that here as we complete the season.
Next question from Matt Roberts.
Yeah, Coach, Tyrell last year kind of took the baton when Clay Johnson went down with season-ending injury, and everyone wondered what would happen, and Tyrell didn't miss a beat at that middle linebacker spot. Can that story kind of help him and help guys, like Abram, that step into this role and know that it can be done, you can continue at this high level?
It does. I feel like there's certainly an opportunity there. I know when I was talking with Tyrell earlier today, we talked about that. And he really wants to be involved in the mentorship with Abe, for example, to help get that done. But I think, you know the type of, I feel the type of player that Tyrell is, and the work ethic and just everything that's involved in the day-to-day to get the level of play and the standard of just being the standard of human being that Tyrell is. And I think his mentorship with our linebacker group is going to be so much more than when he was playing. And so we talked about that earlier, and just the impact that he can make and the powerful impact he can make. I believe it's real.
Thanks, Coach.
Go to Curtis Quillen.
Coach, stats-wise, you lose your best rusher by average yards a game. You lose your leading tackler. But when you look at what you lose more than stats-wise, with who these guys are, with who Squirrel and who Tyrell are for your team as players and as human beings, what do you lose off the field?
There's leadership there, but I feel the leadership, as I just mentioned, I think for them particularly, for for Tyrell, for instance, it's humbling to have an injury like he's got. I've always felt it's interesting. This really isn't the question, but in terms of shoulder surgeries, there's something about that is the most, I feel, debilitating injury. And I think it has to do with when you're sitting down, you're right, you're inhibited when you're moving. When you're standing up and you're moving around, there's still pain, you're inhibited. I feel that's, it affects this more than anything. As much as it, obviously, for sure, affects your body. But I think his ability to grow as a leader with that type of vulnerability that's going to come will only make him stronger. And his ability to adapt and really grow as a leader, I think, is going to be huge for him, most importantly, but also really big for us. And I would say the same for Squirrel. Squirrel brings an energy, and just that smile, man, just brightens up a room like that. And so his ability to do that when he is fighting his own battle, I think, will improve him. And so there's ways we can do it. It's just going to look different. It's going to be different, but I think it can be better.
Next up, Jerry Hill.
Dave, this game, maybe third quarter aside, did you like the growth from the offense, and particularly the offensive line? And maybe is that next step, trying to develop or establish more of a running game?
Exactly. Yeah, I think to play 4 quarters and to keep that running. I thought we started off running the ball well. Squirrel in particular there's some good looks at the flow of the defense and some good cuts and some really good acceleration. And I thought O-line wise there was some movement that they were creating off the ball, and so there's some positive things there. And I thought our receivers were willing in terms of blocking. I think our physicality can improve there, but there's positives, and I think to continue to build on that, I think is of utmost importance, because I feel that is going to enable people to have to play as 50-50, and it's going to open up other things in the throw game as opposed to, third down, every down. And it's gotten to that point in these last couple games, and we really don't want it to be that way. And I think the run game plays a huge piece. But offensively, there's a lot to build upon. A lot of the things that a week ago we were asking to improve, we've improved on. And so we've got to put it together for 4 quarters.
RJ called that fourth quarter catch routine. Is that one of the better ones you've seen? And how good is he playing right now?
I love RJ. I think he has got that persona about him that you throw it his way, he's going to come down with it. And so just for him saying that, I can picture him saying it. And so he does those things in practice. We have competition periods. We try to start with some competition at the start of practice, start fast and build into that. And he's the guy that in my mind, as I think of it, that has stepped up and made catches, not quite that spectacular, but has made really contested catches. And so I feel that he'll continue to build on that. I think he's going to bring some guys along with him. You saw Yusuf make some great catches, and guys were making plays when we needed to have some plays being made. And so that's always good to see.
Thanks, Dave.
Go to Shahan.
Hey, Coach. Raleigh Tejada has obviously been playing really well this year. When you came in, what did you kind of see from him, and what do you really think he does well?
Raleigh's just great, a great kid. I think, family-wise, character-wise, student, football player. I think he gives you all of it. I think he's a very humble person, and I think there is a competitor, right, a fighter, hit inside of all the nicety. You know what I mean? Inside of the kid that does everything right. There's a scrappy dude in there, a guy that will punch you in the face, and so when that comes out, man, I see a lot of growth in him, and I see confidence build in him, and I see his play improve, and so he's headed in the right direction. I think the more that he trusts himself and has confidence in himself and doesn't hold back and kind of lets it rip, the better he's going to be.
His brother was an all Big 12 cornerback at TCU, and his younger brother, too, is also a Division I cornerback. Do you kind of see in him that, I don't know if there's kind of a dedication to being a cornerback, or do you think that he, I guess, has a knowledge of sort of the fundamentals of it that you feel like is notable?
He has an instinct for playing back there. I think his ability to break and drive and his ability to play the game within a game, which I think is what you're inferring, is certainly there. I think the pick, for example, I think was that. And so I think, playing things, setting up things, and then, kind of setting traps as the game goes, that the game within a game. He's definitely on that, he's definitely at that level. And it's one of the things I know he really enjoys. And so we see it all the time in practice. It's good to see it under the lights on Saturday.
Go back to Bryce Cherry.
Yeah, Dave, back to the interceptions for a second. The one that Boogie made, he did, with a club on his hand, basically. Have you ever seen a guy make a play like that with his hand all wrapped up, and just how impressive was that?
It's pretty impressive. When I saw him, yesterday, it was the first thing he said. He asked if I saw it, and I told him that I did. And so, yeah. So I think the previous week there was some contesting going on where it didn't end like that, and so that just shows the character of him, and he's been working throughout the week to be able to get that right, and he did. And so I'm excited for him. I think you look at what he's one example of what guys have been going through with whether it's the COVID stuff that everybody's going through, or injuries. We're at that part of the season right now where we're fighting through. Everyone's fighting through something, but to have a club and to go through things and hand-to-hand battle every week, and there hasn't been one complaint by him, not one. And so I was excited for him.
Back to Werner.
Yeah, Dave, Jake Burton, he's been a nice addition for you guys. How's he done? Obviously, he's had to miss a little time, but he's very flexible where he can play too. Can you just talk a little bit about him?
Yeah, I love his demeanor. I think he is very intelligent. Has got a great heart. Very very welcoming. When you meet him, I mean, he kind of opens up to you right away. Got along with our O-line group right away. Offense loves him. Our team loves him. That didn't take long at all, and that's just his personality and his demeanor and everything. So all of that is there. He has an edge when he plays, and so truth be told, we need that up front, and so he's been able to bring that to us. I think there's that we need some more of it, but I think he brings it, and his ability to create push in our run game, I think has enabled us to get a guy like Squirrel and Ebner and Lovett to get the 4 or 5 yards, early in the games. Now that has to transfer over into the third and fourth quarter. We have not been able to do that, but his ability to be kind of the mover in the run game is almost immediate when he got to our team. And so we're going to continue to run behind him and ask him to move people.
Thank you, Dave.
Andrew Miner?
Hey, Coach. At the end of the first half, you opted to, against Iowa State, you opted to take the ball into the halftime. What was your reasoning behind that? And looking back, do you wish you had been a little bit more aggressive?
When we took the ball at half, you're talking about?
Yeah, you opted to let the clock run out and go into the locker room
Okay.
instead of running more plays. Right?
I got you. Before halftime, you're talking about?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, I got you. Yeah, I think initially there we were trying to see if we could move the ball, run the ball, and see if there was anything, if they were going to play off, if they're going to give us anything easy. And that wasn't necessarily the case. And so we were able to move it some. If we were able to break something out, then the thought was to try to transition and move. And if it wasn't, then the thought is let's head back inside and get these corrections so we can come out for the next half.
Okay, sure. And then you talk a lot about putting a full 4 quarters together. Against Iowa State, there were a couple of mistakes that gave the Cyclones a short field to work with, big kickoff return, a punt block. What's the key to correcting those mistakes and preventing opponents to start with a short field?
Yes, attention to detail, I think, would be right at the top there. I feel like the pump block, for example, just our exact alignment, their exact rush, I think happened, I want to say 2 other times in the game, and we were able to protect it, get the kickoff, and execute. And this particular time, we did not, and we didn't execute, and it was a big play in the game. And then I think in terms of the return, so their field return had always showed up in the second half and never in the first half. And so here it was the second half, and I think our ability, and we've struggled with this throughout the season, so this isn't really particular just to this particular game, but our ability to take what's happening in practice, what's being talked about on the sideline, and then on the grass, as we're running, read and diagnose that, hey, here comes, if they're running middle or boundary, now here's field, and then we have to cross face this way to get this play cut off and shut down this return. We've struggled to do that. And so I think attention to detail, I think I've got to be better on demanding that and then making sure that we take what we work on in practice to Saturday. I think especially with cover, we've not done well in that department.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
We'll let Drake Toll finish us up.
Hey, Coach, for those reverting back to the injuries to Tyrell and Squirrel, for those who have just read the headlines and are looking for more, what's a broad overview or a synopsis of what you know exactly and your initial reaction to those 2 injuries?
So Squirrel has an MCL and ACL, and then Tyrell has a torn labrum, and I think his shoulder, I think there's a fracture there in his shoulder. And so I think his, both of those kids are great kids. They're both leaders for us, each in their own way, and they were both playing really good ball. And so they're both heartbroken. And so I think for us, making sure that they are taken care of, that we're there for them, that we help them through this process. I think anytime you're in the a game mode and a week to week, and all of a sudden that shuts down. That's hard to adjust to. And so us walking them through that and being there for them, the person, so much more important than the player. And then I think on the other side of it is for us is to develop those players that are going to now step into those roles, and so that we can continue to improve as a team.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.